Well, hello there, it's Christine. How are you? Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about the Tarot of Marseille, and we're talking about the Pope card. I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed and left comments on the channel. Thank you very much. It helps it all to happen the way we want it to. I'm just going to get some notes up with this. If you're wondering about what deck I've been using, I've had a few people message me about that. This is a Tarot Marseille deck. It is number G103. It's around I should know, shouldn't I? I thought I had a little print. Oh yeah, 1969 it has on there. I've had it a long time, and it's a dear deck, and it's a good teaching deck for Marseille. But I also like the Italian Marseille deck, and I've got a few other ones that you've seen me do videos on as well. I'm having a bad hair day today because I was worried my hair looked like it needed a wash and was behaving a certain way, and then I washed it this morning and used the dryer, and lo and behold, it's acting just as stupid. So it doesn't matter if it needs a wash or doesn't need a wash. It's just doing its mad stupid thing that it wants to do. Now, getting back to this card, and I will touch on this book shortly. This card is number 5 in the Tarot of Marseille, and it invites us to move from the material plane to the physical plane, because if you look at the cards, the card that comes after it is card number 6, the Lovers. And then if you look at the cards, just got to check that I've got these lined up so you can sort of see them all properly. God, it never wants to behave, these screens. We have him. There. Now, I know a lot of the times you think the Fool is first, but the Fool can be first, but and I'm using this because it's from the 60s. They have the Magician first, number 1. The Lamat, if I'm saying it right, he is always card last. Oh, they've written him in English. This deck is printed in Paris and is Grimoire, but I think it's in that crossover time where maybe they were making some for the English market, because Rider-Waite-Smith had come out, and when Rider-Waite-Smith come out, it wasn't mass marketed like it was now. Well, it was like it is now, because post Second World War there was a paper shortage, so you didn't have paper for decks everywhere. And it wasn't until like the 60s or the 70s it ramped up a little bit with that. So just sort of giving you a bit of a context of it, if you like. So if we look at number 1, we won't discount him. You can put him anywhere. He can be there, he can be there, he can be right at the end. You never know where he's going to turn up, because he's like the Joker in playing cards, if you like. So, but he is on his own and has an animal. This is what I'm trying to say, and I'm sort of getting off track a little bit, where he's on his own. And it's interesting that he's number 1, because I've touched on the Magician before, and there's a saying, I've been in sales, and there's a saying in sales that nothing happens unless something is sold. Salespeople will tell you that all the time, and there's a sense of truth about that, because until a sale is made, whether you do work for somebody and get money in exchange, that is you're selling your services, whether you've made bricks and you're selling the bricks that you've made, that is a very strong energy. But then we have the High Priestess on her own, inner wisdom. You have the Empress, about growth and ruling and all the empressy things. She's a very powerful number. She's about time and patience and being outdoors and ruling over lots of things and ruling behind the scenes, obviously. Then we have the Emperor, who is about material goods and being in charge. And he is before our Hierophant, and then we have this afterwards. So I'm just going to then narrow it down, because that's a bit of a brain load, but just sort of to demonstrate how he is the first card to have a group of people, and then you have a group of people here with that. So getting that in line, we have this sort of, he is in 5, he is going from the material plane to the spiritual plane, and astrologically he is linked to Taurus and an earth element, and he represents religion, traditions, authority, education, customs, and ways of behavior that bind us, tribes and systems that we identify with and who we belong to. And if you look at what we're looking at in the cards of our dear Pope or Emperor, he is up the top, and his scepter is all seeing it, and he has 2 pillars behind him, and he has 3 crowns here, so he's pretty important, but he wouldn't be elevated if it wasn't for these people. And it took me I was looking at this morning. I always thought this was a hand that belonged to someone else that was around this person's shoulder. I've actually thought that working with tarot for God knows how long, because when I learnt tarot, it's hard to explain it. I was young, and I didn't sort of sit there and, oh, that hand's got so many fingers and all this stuff, and become so academic with the symbology with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just another level of understanding and appreciation. So there's nothing wrong with that, and there's people out there that do that really well. But for a long time, I always used to read this card in the context of sometimes with religion and things, there are people that sort of can't keep their hands to themselves, given of all the things that have gone wrong within establishments, and people lording over other people and that. But it turns out this could be the back of his cape, and his hands here still touching, can't keep their hands to themselves in this one, and he's sort of down here, and some people say it's like pointing up to heavens, and the other one pointing to the doctrine and everything like that, and he points up to heaven as like heaven being the right way. And but it's also a card that the essence of the card is that wisdom and assistance is going to come to you, and comfort. So once again, we get this sort of healing thing with this card as well, because it's another card of healing, which I may or may not have mentioned on the last video, because we do find healing in groups. We do find healing in, I've found my tribe, I've found like-minded people, I've found people who are spiritual, or people who are supportive. I've found people who speak the same language of me, who share my values. So all that is encompassed in this card, and it often gives a message that you're going to get help when you need it, and whether that's but it also is a card of spiritual teaching. And some people call it the marriage card. As I spoke on another video, different cards have different meanings for people, and some people look at this card, and if it turns up in the reading, oh, there's going to be a marriage, that's quite common as well with that. So when you sort of look at it, if I'll talk about this at another time, although he is looking at them, so he does want to marry them probably. He wishes they'd make a decision so they can get on with it and get married. Maybe. But do people need to get married these days? How tradition has changed as well. So I'm not saying people should have to get married, because that's is important to some, but maybe not for others. And got my mouse playing up with that, because I had something. about this that I've made a quick little bit of notes. But he's all about putting things in order in the way things should be in a traditional sense. Now, if we have these cards together, it's about how the material person has turned their back on the spiritual. This person has a focus on what's material in life. They want to make money, they want to build things, they want to do all that construction-y stuff with the focus of financial and material gain. If you have these cards together like this, then this person is looking to turn their back on being spiritual. They're moving from the spiritual to the material. In that sense, he's got his eyes on the prize. Well, they both got their eyes on the prize, but when you line them up on like that, so it just depends where they come. And I sort of thought about that because this dear little book tells us, that's right, if the emperor precedes the pope and he turns his back on the pope who occupies the positive position of being spiritual, then the emperor prefers all the earthly goods to having knowledge and spirituality. So that puts them round there. So he's got his eyes on the prize, as I said before, focus on money, focus on the earth. He is, if you look here, he's a landowner. The land's important to him, and the things that come from the land, which is like a plutocrats is all about the land and who owns the land and what the land has. And wars and theft has happened for centuries about land and what the land has, what the minerals are, what food it can grow. Geographical wars still going on since time began. So he's got his foot firmly on the ground because that's what he likes, and he likes what comes from the ground, in comparison to when the Pope precedes the area, knowledge separates the emperor from his earthly desires. He says, well, I'm going to put that down. I'm actually going to give it to the church. I'm going to give all my worldly goods to the Swami. I've been watching the Indian Detective, and in the story of the Indian Detective show on Netflix, a businessman wants to give all his wealth and everything and hand it over to the Swami for spiritual enlightenment. And so that is what is with those cards. So if this card should turn up in a love reading, then the Pope will bless your union. It's a very positive card for relationships, although it's not a relationship card. And he promotes the meeting of possibly someone older. When will I meet someone, and what will they be like? You'll meet them at the gathering, and this man might be an older man and very knowledgeable, or perhaps a teacher. What's going on at work? And this card turns up. You're being coached at work. Someone's going to mentor you at work, and trust that you're going to get that all happening very well for you, because training and mentoring will accelerate your career. So he can be a mentor or a coach. With money, asking about money, it's all about negotiating, having to negotiate finances. Or maybe you're going to get a raise because he's stepping up, a little bit like the devil, isn't he? Stepping up. Sometimes I line the devil card up because that's an interesting thing. I'll do that in a minute. With health, he can be a doctor, medical practitioner, a counsellor, or any sort of healing. So once again, he is in the healing category, but I can't remember if I put him in yesterday because we had quite a lot of cards for healing and spiritual, so we can add him if he hasn't been there. All right. And if someone's stressed in a reading and they're worried about things, it would say, don't worry, because this comes back to this hand. Is it the cloak Is the hand under the cloak coming out, or is this a third person here saying, don't worry, I've got your back. I'm here to help you. And who's that out there? Is it him? Is it the Magician? Don't worry, I've got your back. Is it the Empress? Maybe. Or is it another person who is like-minded and connected to you spiritually? And not every person who's connected to you are spiritual, but it can be like a soul thing without it being spiritual. Don't worry, I've got your back. And maybe it's her arm coming down like that. I don't know. This one's puzzled me for a long time, and I got right into it when I was sort of researching for this because I wanted to talk about it, and I'm saying now. And I read something in one of the books and I thought, well, hold on, I've always thought there's a third person there. But no, that's their little hand, apparently. And they have these certain haircuts because that's about they've shaved their heads to get knowledge and things like the Buddhist monks do. There's a connection there with that. And then you've got the glove that he's sort of spiritual and doesn't do earthly things. Although when I see that glove, it reminds me of my husband's cement gloves he puts on when he's working with cement, so it's all relevant. So don't worry, I've got your back. Which there's nothing, I'm here to support. So there's nothing more in a sense of kindness to another human being than that card with that. So there we have it. There's our Pope card. It can ask us questioning, what are our values, what's important to us, who are my tribe, has your tribe changed? It's a lot of things with this card. Thank you for watching. Let me know how you read the Pope, because I have to admit it's been a card that's been a difficult card for me to read over the years. Particularly in Rider-Waite-Smith, it used to come up, and some people, other readers and that stuff I used to know over the years, would say, oh no, it's a marriage card, and I go, but maybe it is. But it is a good card, and it's a card of healing and hope and support. Thanks for watching. Your energy is important, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.